Hi guys, I am back and today I'm doing something a bit different. It's not going to be a tutorial as such. It's going to be a top sort of like expensive brand versus a cheaper brand. Obviously the cheaper brands aren't bad, but they are cheaper, so I'm just going to be sort of reviewing how much better or if they are better, the top brand is versus the cheaper brand. That's pretty much it. You'd think that the top expensive brand would be better than the cheaper brand. Sometimes I prefer the cheaper brand. It all depends really, but obviously sometimes the more expensive brand is definitely a bit better. So I'm going to be reviewing quite a few different things actually, quite a lot. So not everything, like foundation I only really have one because I only like the one. And brows, I have two different brow gels, but I don't personally use the tinted brow gels that much, so I'm not going to review them. I'm just going to do my normal brows. So if you guys want to see how I get on with them and compare them, then stick around and I will do just that. Let's do this. So this side will be the cheaper brand and this side will be the more expensive brand. So I'm going to start with my Revolution. This is the Prime and Lock Longwear Eyeshadow Primer. So it comes with, what I do like about this is it comes with this little applicator, which I really like. So I'm putting that all over my eyelid, up to the brow. And I'm going to blend that in with a sponge. So straight away with this one, you can, I don't know if you can tell, I mean you can tell the difference. It's definitely, the coverage is definitely not as good as the P.Louise, which you'll see in a minute, but it's still quite good. It's not the best. It would definitely be alright. And then the P.Louise, I'm going to do the same. As you can see, the P.Louise straight away is lighter anyway. I do prefer the colour of this one. I'm going to blend that in with the sponge. So you can see the coverage is just so much better. Like you can see how, look, there is just no, the comparison is just, honestly, there's just no doubt in it. That is just so much better. I mean, look at that. So straight away I much prefer this one. So they go for, this is around, like I try to go from the product website or like around the price that they do go for. So the P.Louise base is £10. The Revolution eye primer is £6, so it's only £4 less. I normally use a baking powder, but I'm actually going to set it with a pressed powder just because obviously I'm going to be using them later, so I thought I'll just set it with this. I sometimes do, you know, like it's less messy and it is still good. So straight away I'm noticing it's not sitting as well. It's definitely not sitting as well on that primer. It's alright, it's not terrible, it's really not bad. It's just I'm so used to using the P.Louise one that is just so much better. Like it literally is just a lot better. So as you can see, still this is much more, it's lighter, it's much better coverage. So I just set that with the L'Oreal True Match powder. For eyeshadow palettes, I'm going to be reviewing the W7 Life's a Peach and the Urban Decay Naked Petite Heat palette. Now, it's a bit smaller, but this has got more shades, but the Urban Decay one has similar shades, like pretty much the same shades. So that's how that one looks, and this is how this one looks. Okay, so as you can see, the shades are quite similar. So I'm going to start with my Real Techniques setting brush, which I use as an eyeshadow brush. Going into the W7 palette, I'm going to take this shade here, which is called Sweet Temptation. I like that. These have all got like fruity sort of names, which is quite nice. This one comes with a little brush as well. I haven't opened it because I don't really like brushes that come with palettes. This actually looks alright. A fluffy end, and it's got a sort of flat end. That's actually quite nice, to be fair. It's alright. It's better than some palettes what they come with. So that's a bonus if you don't have many brushes as well, I suppose. So I'm going to take that straight away with this one. When I'm dipping it in, I'm getting a big puff of powder. Yeah, and it created quite a mess. Some palettes do that. So I'm gonna put this on my horrible Revolution base. No, it's not that bad. It's just not as good. I'm not used to having it this like bad coverage, I suppose. I'm just putting that all over my eye area, just above the lid, up to the brow bone. This is just going to be sort of my base colour, I suppose. I mean, the pigment it's building up alright. It's not the best, but it's alright, isn't it? Not too bad. With the Petite Heat palette, the Urban Decay, I'm going to be using this shade here, which is called, with this as well, the obviously it's a small palette, but the words are very small, so it's quite hard to read. I think that says vibrate. Alright, so yeah, I'm going to take that shade on this brush. I'm going to put that on here, very similar shade. That one's slightly more orange, but very similar. I mean, it's a light shade anyway, so it's not going to show up massively, but I would have hoped that this one would have showed up a bit better than it is. Maybe it's too close to my skin tone. Not really showed up as much as I thought, but yeah, it's okay. Alright, so next I'm going to take the P.Louise 120 and I'm going to go in back to the W7. Oh, by the way, these palettes, so the W7 palette, it goes for around £6, and then the Urban Decay is around £25, so a massive difference there, massive difference. So it's pretty standard for the brands. W7's quite a cheap brand, Urban Decay is quite a big brand. So now I'm gonna take this shade here, and it's called Golden Nectar. I'm gonna put that just above my crease. I'm gonna blend it in, not quite as far as I went up with the first shade, but still blend it in. With this palette, I do feel like the shades blend quite well, but also they do build quite well. Like, you can build them up. When you first put it on, it's like, oh, can't see it, but once you build it up, you can definitely create a nice pigment there. It doesn't look very patchy or anything, which is quite nice, because some cheaper palettes do appear a bit patchy. Now with the Urban Decay, I'm gonna take this shade here, which is called Hest. Oh god, it's too small, I can't see it. I think it says Heist, I really don't know. So I'm gonna take that and put that where I went with the other colour on the other side. Okay. This one's actually creating quite a lot of fall down, which some more expensive brands do tend to do. So, similar, quite similar. I would say with this one, with the Urban Decay, it is blending a little bit better. I think it seems to be a bit smoother, probably a little bit nicer, I would say, the blending. There we go. Now I'm going to take the P.Louise brush 118, and I'm going to go back to the W7 palette, and I will take this shade here, the really dark brown, and that is called Pit Stop. So I'm going to put that just above my crease. This is our crease colour. Yeah, it's alright, I think. It's not coming out patchy or anything, I don't think. I'm going to put that in the outer corner as well. Just pat that on, and then I'm going to blend that in. There we go. That shade is definitely very buildable. Yeah, I think if you build that up it could be quite dark. Obviously I don't want it to be too dark, because I'm not really going for a massively dark look today. So, which is weird for me, I know. Okay, not bad. Now for the Urban Decay, I will be using obviously the darkest shade here. See if I can read this one. Strike, I think it says. Strike, I believe. Now I'm going to put that where I went with the other colour. So straight away it is definitely darker. As soon as you put it on you don't need to build it up really, it's just there. I would say that's definitely, the pigment's definitely a bit more harsh. Yeah, I would say this is slightly better, this shade anyway, at least. In the pan it looks the same, on the skin it definitely is slightly different. So yeah, you can see the slight, well, I can see the slight difference. So you probably can as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to cut my crease, because I normally use my P.Louise base, so on this eye I will be using the Revolution one. I really hope it works because it's nowhere near as thick. I'm going to put that on my hand first. It's quite thin really, so I do need to put quite a lot on. You can use concealer, but because I usually use the base, so I think it's probably best that I do that to get the real sort of comparison there. So I'm going to take a flat brush. This is a cheap one, I don't know what it is. So I'm going to put that on that flat brush, and I'm going to put that all over my lid. Yeah, I can see I'm going to struggle with this, I reckon. Slightly above my natural crease. Like that. It's better than I thought, but it's not great. So with that one I'm going to set it with another flat brush. This shade here to set it, and that is called White Flesh. Oh, strange name. So I'm going to set that, just pat that all over my lid. Not too bad, not massively bad. A little bit patchy. It's alright. There's definitely more creasing with that one, definitely. I mean, it's actually not made a massive difference to be fair. It's alright, it is alright, it's not bad. So for the other side, I'll be using the P.Louise base to cut my crease, which I usually use to cut my crease anyway. Put way too much on there. Ah, what a waste. So I'm now going to cut my crease with that, so you can see straight away it's much better coverage. It's much lighter as well, so it is definitely better in my opinion. I do prefer this one to the other one to cut the crease, and also just as the base. Definitely much prefer this one. It's not even worth comparing, like it's just like so much better. I'm sorry Revolution, I love Revolution, but that isn't great, is it really? I mean, so I'm going to take that flat brush and I will take the lightest shade from this palette, which is called, oh god, Inhale. I'm going to put that all over my lid. So that's that. Yeah, you can, I mean, come on. It's not, honestly, come on. pretty obvious which one I prefer there. So now I'm just going to reinforce the darkest shade there. So with the Pit Stop from the W7 palette, I'm just going to reinforce that on the outer corner there, and also around the crease. Reinforce that darkest crease colour there. Oh dear, look at that. Nah, that's not at all good. Maybe it's the technique, maybe the colours and the products just don't really suit this technique. I don't know. But that's not massively nice, is it? I mean, I'm having to build out quite a lot just to get rid of that patch, and it still hasn't really got rid of that patch. So, oh well. So with the Urban Decay, I'm going to obviously take that darkest shade, which is the Strike, and I'm going to do the same on this side. So yeah, straight away, much less patchy. Sits much nicer on both of those products. So yeah, it's definitely better. I don't know if it's the eyeshadow or the base, possibly both. But look, you can see, can't you? It's just much better. So one last thing with the eyeshadow, I will be just putting a little bit of a lighter shade, just slightly on the outer. I kind of just want to fix this. Yeah, I'm going to use this one here. It's called Peach Please. Like, bitch please. And I'm just going to put that sort of there, just towards the outer corner, just to sort of give it a little bit of something there. I think with this palette, if I was to use it with the P.Louise base, maybe it'd be better, especially if I cut it with that, cut the crease with that. I think it would definitely be a little bit better. So I'm going to take the Wild Thing shade from the Urban Decay, which is very similar. Oh wow, yeah, that pigment is much stronger, you can see there. Much stronger. I mean, they're very similar, the colours and stuff, and the look looks very much similar, but I do definitely prefer this side at the minute. So I do tend to like W7, like the brand is quite good. It's not like it's a brand that I would knock, you know, like I do buy some of their products, but right now that's sort of how that is how I wanted it to look anyway. So for a glitter primer, I don't have any fixed gel at the minute, but I did do actually about 2 years ago now a really bad video, bad quality, but it does explain how this is better than the fixed gel. So I'll use this now for both of the eyes. I'm going to take that on a flat brush, and I'm just going to put that, so I'm wanting to literally just put that along here, so where that, and stop where that brown meets the orange. So obviously the orange, you can see it sort of covered the orange a little bit, because that side was a bit, the orange was slightly lighter. So this one will probably, yeah, you can definitely see that orange a little bit better still. I only really wanted it to be slightly showing anyway. I wanted it almost to be like a little bit of a base underneath, so that's fine for what I wanted. Now I'm going to use my glitter palettes. So I will be using as the top brand the Jolie Beautybomb.com palette. This one actually has a lot more shades than the other one. Beautiful, I love that palette. And this is the one I started with. This is the Maange Beauty Glitter palette. It's very cheap. Okay, so I've used it a lot because this is actually great. It's not very different, but it's a bit more rough, not as fine. So the Maange one is about £6 on Amazon, and the Jolie Beauty is $28.99, so a massive difference. So I'm just going to choose a suitable flat brush for this. Fine. So starting with the cheaper side, I'm just choosing a colour. Let me have a look what we've got. This is gold mine, so it's a slightly more orangey gold than the gold, but it's not orange like Sunrise. So yeah, the glitter is definitely more rough in this palette. Like on the skin, it almost feels like quite rough, in a weird way. So I'm going to put that, not starting from the inner corner. I'm going to start sort of a little bit of the way, maybe a third of the way along from the inner corner. So it is, look at that, like it's gone on straight away, no problems, you know. It's good. I really like this palette. I used to use it a lot, like really a lot. I'm going to go up to the brown and stop at the brown. Beautiful colour, I love that. So I'm stopping there. As I say, I'm not going all the way in, but I do want to sort of like ombre it in almost. So I'm just going to sort of tap it just once over there like that. So now I'm going to take in the same palette this Sunrise here, which is the orange. This is a beautiful shade. I've used this quite a lot actually. I'm just going to go over the gold and overlap onto that brown a tiny bit, almost where I put the orange shade underneath. I would say that with this one it doesn't layer up as well, like the shades you can't sort of layer them on top of each other quite as well as the other palette, which you'll see in a minute. So I don't know if you can see on the camera, it's blended in a little bit, but it's not quite as good. Definitely not quite as good. And again, it is rough. Also, when you take this off, when you at the end of the day and finish, it does hurt a bit. Now I'm gonna take the shade Pure, just a tiny bit. This white, I love, right, this white, yeah, it's beautiful. It's got like bluey tints into it, like greeny bluey, but not a lot, like not a lot. It is white. So I'm just gonna put that right there on the inner corner where I stopped the gold. Okay, like that. Honestly, yeah, it's one of my favorites. It's so beautiful. That the undertones are just stunning. They're so lovely, and they don't layer on top of each other quite as well. They're pretty good. So that's the Maange palette. Now I'll go into the Jolie Beauty Bomb.com palette. This is just beautiful. Look at that, so many beautiful shades. So straight away it's a bit better because it's got a lot more shades. The glitter is much more fine in this palette. Yeah, it's just a bit better, to be honest. Well, we'll see. So I'm gonna take this shade here, and it is called Crowned. Ooh, I like that. It's just a gold. So I'm gonna put that where I went with the gold on the other eye, starting from about a third of the way in, and just working my way up to that brown. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but the glitter is so much finer. Also with these, you don't really need an a glitter glue really, because it does almost have it in the formula, and it's very, you could just put it on. But I do just prefer to use a glitter primer because I feel like it does just eliminate the creasing a little bit. It stops the creasing from happening quite as much. Then I'm going to take the shade, this one here, and it's called Just Jolie. I'm going to put that again where I put it on the other eye, which is where I went with the orange shade earlier. Just going over to the brown. So these do layer up. I mean, you can see there, it definitely layers up much better, so you can layer them on top of each other much better. And I'm just going to reinforce that first gold because it has literally gone on top of it, so that's that's good, great, but I do just want a little bit more of that first gold. They definitely go better together. I don't know whether that was my choice of colours maybe that helped that, but it's much more of a smoother transition there. So now I'm going to take the sugar shade, which I really love as well. It is similar to the white shade in the other palette, so it is definitely more white, like it's definite white. It's not really got any sort of greeny bluey undertones. So let's have a look at the difference there. So that's that side and that is that side. Slightly different. Definitely prefer this side at the minute. Feels nicer, looks a bit nicer. So that's it for the eyeshadow. So for eyeliner I'm going to use my NYX Epic Ink Liner. So I'm going to use this on both eyes because I've lost my other eyeliner I literally used yesterday. Somehow. That's really annoying. So yeah, I'm just going to use this on both eyes. So I'm just going to go along my lash line. With this eye, the glitter is coming off quite a bit when I put that liner on top. Some people like to do the eyeliner first. I personally prefer to use the glitter first and then the eyeliner. I don't know why, I just do. So it doesn't sit quite as well, but it's fine, it's still alright. I actually find that it doesn't sit that well on the sugar shade, just because it is a little bit more rough. But on the other shades it definitely sits a little bit better. So where shall I start with that? So I prefer the white shade from the cheaper palette, the Maange palette. I just love the undertones so much, they're so beautiful, whereas this one hasn't really got a lot of undertone. I definitely prefer the texture of the Bomb.com palette. I do prefer how the eyeliner sits on the Bomb.com glitter as well. Like, it definitely sits a bit better on the glitter. I always reinforce it later anyway, because you know when I look up and stuff and the glitter does go on the eyeliner. So next is primers. So these are not that different in price really. So the W7 Prime Magic primer. Yep, so these are very similar products. The consistency, the type, they're quite like creamy, they're like a gel. I use both because I do think that they're both the same really. But so the W7 primer goes for about £4 or £5. The Maybelline goes for more like £7 or £8. It's a slight difference, but not massively. So I'm just gonna put some of the W7 first of all. I'm actually running out of this one a little bit. It's hard to not go all over my face with this. I normally just go oh well. We won't be able to really tell the difference until we put the other products on top. So this is the Maybelline Baby Skin primer. So again, it's literally the same texture, the same consistency. I don't see any difference in it personally. Like I just don't. I don't know whether that's just me, I don't know, but to me they're like pretty much the same product. I'm going to apply my foundation off cam because I'm just going to use my usual L'Oreal for both sides, and then I'll be back. Hey guys, so I'm back. So I've just done my foundation, literally just the foundation, that's all I've done here. I don't see any difference at all how it sits on either of the primers. Personally, it looks the same to me. I don't know if you could tell a difference, but it certainly sits the same on my skin, I think. Concealers. For the cheaper side, I have the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. I really like this because it's very light and I'm very pale. I also do like the L'Oreal True Match Concealer, but last time I went into Superdrug they ran out of my shade, so I got this and I actually really like it, so either or is fine. So this one, Maybelline Fit Me Concealer, is about £5.99 in Boots, Superdrug, places like that, so £5.99. The Laura Geller The Real Deal concealer, serious coverage in light, is about £22. Now I've had this a long time, so it has lasted me a long time. So it's great, it's brilliant, and the cover is just, oh, the coverage is unreal. Yeah, like it's unreal. You don't need a lot. It's very thick, very thick. Do not need a lot. So I'm going to start with the Fit Me. I like this again because it's got the applicator. So I'm going to put that under my eye. It's quite thin. I do feel like you need to layer it up quite a bit. I don't know if that's because I wear quite a lot of it. I don't know. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have to like aim towards that side of the nose and the chin. It's going to be really weird. Right, I'm going to start by blending that then. The coverage, I would say, is alright. It's nice. I would say it's probably medium coverage, to be honest. So, the other one. So here's what, I've got all sorts on my hand right now. So this is what it looks like on the hand. Very thick. Very thick. So you can use a brush to apply this, or you can use your finger. Obviously it doesn't come with an applicator, so I'm going to use a flat brush. It covers spots quite well as well because it is so thick and good. I'm trying to just do half the face. It's actually quite hard. Again, like the primer, the texture of the concealer on the primer hasn't changed. Like the pores are still the same. They're both very good for pores, I think. Like for well, the Maybelline one, I think it's called a pore eraser. So it is good, and the W7 one is pretty much the same. This one is slightly more yellow toned. I mean, that doesn't make a difference, but obviously if you've got a pink undertone like me, it does, you know, it is more yellow, but it doesn't matter too much. So as you can see on the camera, the coverage is definitely slightly better on this side. Yeah, if you see under the eyes, you can see it is quite a lot better. You should be able to see that on the camera, hopefully. So that's the concealer. Next is the baking powder, or setting powder, whatever you want to call it. So for the cheap one, or cheaper one, I'm using the Revolution baking powder in translucent. This on their website at the minute, I believe, is $5.99. I use it a lot. I do use it a lot. I also use the other one, which is in the shade Lace. And on the other side, I have the Rcma powder, which goes usually for around £12 to £15. I actually have it in a pot. It's really dodgy, but I don't know why. I think I went on holiday or something and I put it in a pot and then got rid of the packet. So basically I'm gonna start with the Revolution. I'm just gonna make sure there's no crease in there first of all. Now I'm gonna take some in the lid. It looks pretty much the same in the pot. I feel like the Rcma one is slightly whiter, maybe? I don't know. So I'm going to take that on a powder sponge. This is from Real Techniques, it is a powder sponge. Now I'm going to start with the Revolution one. I'm going to put that under my eye, literally just press it on. So it's, obviously it's good, isn't it? It's white, translucent. Now I'm going to leave that for about 5 minutes. I like to leave it for about 5 minutes just to let it bake. So what's the weather like outside? Some big clouds in the sky, nice and blue, probably cold. So I've just left that on for about 5 minutes. I'm going to use a big powder brush just to blend that all in. I like to take a smaller brush just for around the eye area because it's a bit hard to get into them areas with the big brush. So you can see it's worked, it's baked, it's got rid of the creasing, it's done its job, it's set the foundation and the concealer, so yeah, it's done its job. It's pretty good. I do like that powder actually, I do use it quite a lot. For the other side I'm using the Rcma, which usually goes for around £12 to £15. It's amazing, yeah, not gonna lie. This powder is incredible. It makes your face so smooth, so smooth. So I'm gonna put that under my eye, like on the other side, with the powder sponge. So you can see it's a bit, a lot thicker. It goes on much better, like the coverage is straight away just much better. Like look at that, it's just much better. I would have put it on both at the same time so you could see, but it's a bit, I don't know, it's a bit hard to then blend it all in because it's all going to blend into each other, and you know what I mean, it's a bit awkward. So I've got all sorts of products going on here. Right, anyway, so that's that, and then I'm going to leave that on for 5 minutes again just to let it bake, and then I will be back to blend it in. Okay, so I'm just blending it in now. Right, are you ready? Okay, right, let's go. So from my previous knowledge, so the Rcma powder is better for the creasing. It definitely eliminates the creasing much better, makes the eye much less creased. Whereas this one, it definitely does eliminate the creasing, no doubt, but I feel like not as much. Don't know if you can see. I'm not just smiling, by the way, I'm trying to create that crease. I don't know if you can see that. It definitely sits much better in the creases. This one, it blends in completely clear, whereas this one I do think it stays a little bit more pale, maybe, I don't know. You can see it's just a bit better, in my opinion. It's a bit better. Sits a bit nicer on this, it definitely sits nicer on the skin. Going back to the eyeshadow palette, so I'm doing the bottom eyeshadow now. So again, I'm using the Life's a Peach palette from W7 for this side, and the Urban Decay Naked Petite Heat for this side. So I'm gonna take this shade here. These all work really well together, these shades, they really do, and that's called Golden Nectar. Okay, so I'm gonna put that under the eye. I'm gonna be smoking that out later anyway. Then I'm just gonna smoke that with the dark brown shade here. I'm gonna put a little bit of that just along the lower lash line, so slightly higher than the other colour. Now on the other side, I will take the other palette and I'm gonna take these two shades here. Okay, the last two. So starting with the Haste, whatever it's called, and so you can see that's much more pigmented straight away. It's much brighter, much more saturated. It's just much better. Now I'm going to take the Strike shade and I'm going to put that along the lash line. Time for contouring. So today I will be using my favourite, these are probably both my favourites actually, but my top favourite. So this is the Laura Geller Bronze and Brighten Baked Colour Correcting Bronzer. It actually has a lid which fell off. So and the other one is the Revolution HD Pro Sculpt and Contour Palette. So the Revolution one, that goes for about £6. And the Gellar one goes for around £25. So let's start with the Revolution. So with this I take a nice big fan brush. And what I like to do is just sort of go across all of them from all of those bronze pans. Not the light ones, only the bronze ones obviously. Just gonna pat that on up here. Just gonna go in circular motions with that as well and just really blend that in. And I like to take another sort of powder brush or something. This is a P.Louise #638. And then literally just blend that in circular motions. And there we go. Bam! Done! Obviously it's a bit harsh at the minute, but I do like to soften it up with some blush and stuff. So I'm going to take my Gellar and put that, just sort of pick up all those shades. And then the same on this side. So I find with this one, it's slightly less harsh. So you put it on, you can see it was much harsher on this side. So you put it on and it's just there, quite striking. Whereas this one you need to sort of build it up a bit, which is a bit easier to use because you don't have to be sort of getting rid of any of it. You can just sort of build it up slowly. Obviously that's one dip, you know, like that is, it's fine, but you do have to just sort of build it up a little bit, which is nice. It's not too sort of harsh. That's that for the bronzer, guys. So many Deliveroo drivers going past. You know, I'm sitting here and watching the world go by while I'm doing my makeup as well. I'm just seeing all these things going past and all sorts. Blush, again, I've got Gellar here, and this is the Baked Blush in Catalina. Love this. And on the other side I've got the Maybelline Master Highlight Blush, which I like that. I think it looks really pretty. Now the Maybelline blush goes for £6, around £6. Gellar goes for £24. So massive difference. So I'm going to take a blush brush. I'm going to start with the Maybelline blush and just work in circular motions around here. These are both quite light. I would say this one's slightly brighter than the other one. Quite like that it's quite pink. So it's quite glowy, that one. It glows quite a lot. Obviously it's a highlight blush or whatever that means, but it's sort of like, not shimmery, but sort of like gives you a little bit of a glow. So you can see again that's quite harsh from the bronzer still. So you just want to sort of blend it in, blend that blush in a little bit. So I'm going to take the Gellar and I'm just going to put that on this side. So this is more pigmented, okay, so you can see straight away that the colour is there and it is definitely more pigmented. Yeah, so that was one dip, you know, it hasn't got a glow, it's very much matte. Highlighters. I am so excited for highlighter is my favourite thing ever. If you've been here before, you will know that I love highlighter. So for the cheaper highlighter, I have here the Revolution Snowflake Heart. I like this one because it's quite white and it does have that slight gold, but it's definitely quite white. And this is about £5. And then we have the Doll Beauty highlight, and it's got two shades. I'm going to be using the lighter one, and that goes for about £25. So obviously a lot of difference there. I'm going to go in with the Revolution Heart on this side. I'm just going to go on my little highlight rampage. It's probably one of my very favourite highlighters just because it's like a big strobe, like it's so stroby. I don't know how to explain it. It's so white and so just there. Just look at it, it's so beautiful. Okay. On the other side we've got the Doll Light Duo. I'll take that here on this fan brush and put that here. So in the pan it looks quite gold. It's actually quite white on the skin. Definitely got that gold tint, very slight, but it's quite white. I love highlighter, just ignore me, I'm putting it everywhere. I can see the difference personally. I do feel like I prefer the Dole Beauty one. I just like, it's got a very slightly warmer undertone, so it's definitely slightly gold, whereas this is completely white. I like both, I love both. So I'm now going to take another flat brush and I'm going to take the highlighters, the same one for each one. I'm just going to put that in the corner of my eye. So this is the Dole Beauty one, and the I Heart Revolution one is going on the other side, which is definitely a lot more white. Mwah. Beautiful. Right then, I'm going to do my eyebrows off cam because I'm just going to use the same product for both, and then I'll be back. Hey guys, I've just done my eyebrows, so all that's left now is lashes and lips. For lips, lashes I'm just going to use the same on both eyes because I only use Sandy Glam, so I don't actually have any others to compare it to. So lips, I have, for the cheaper version, I don't know how to pronounce this, bourgeois, whatever that is. This goes for about £4 or £5. I've tried to go for some sort of similar shades. Yeah, that's the Velvet liquid lipstick, and this is the Stilla liquid lipstick in, is it Perla? I can't remember the name. I did look it up. I think it's Perla. So they're both quite sort of dark nudes. The Stila lipstick goes for about £13 to £16. So this is going to be a bit hard doing it half and half, but I'm going to try. So this is the cheaper one. That's so weird right now. So this is going on this side. I think this will be slightly dark. Yeah, slightly darker. This is a slightly more brown. That's a slightly more pinky nude. This one feels slightly more velvety, like softer. This one's slightly more matte, like it's a definite. They're both matte, but it feels matte, if that makes sense. When they go on, very similar. Very soft, very creamy. The Stilla one smells really nice. It's like a vanilla-y sort of shade. A vanilla-y sort of smell. The other one doesn't really have as much of a smell. They're both very creamy, very soft. So let's do this kiss test. You ready? Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so that is the cheaper one. This is the expensive one. Where is it? That's, wow, that's a massive do. You can't even see that, like that it did not come off at all. Can't get over that. Wow, very impressive. So I'm just going to do my lashes and then I'll be back. Hi guys, I'm back. So I've just done my lashes. Let's start with the face makeup. So the primers again are pretty much the same. The concealers, this side was definitely less coverage. The contour was much more harsh. It was slightly less blendable, I would say. Like it was just there straight away and you didn't sort of blend it. It was quite harsh, very hard to blend, whereas this one was very sort of easy to blend, a bit softer. Highlight, this is much more sort of stroby, much whiter, whereas this one's a bit more soft and it's got slight gold to it. Blush, I would say this one's slightly shimmery and this one's much more matte. Eyeshadows, yeah, as you can see, probably very patchy, especially at the brown. The orange tones were alright, whereas this side it blended so nicely and it's very sort of soft. The glitter, I would say this is slightly rough. It goes on slightly rough. This one's much finer. The white glitter with the greeny bluey undertones I much prefer to the white in this palette because it doesn't really have any undertones. This one is beautiful. Look, I don't know if you can even see it. It's so beautiful. I love it. To be fair, this glitter palette is really good. The cheap one, it is really good, but this one's got many more shades and it's just nicer shades as well. They've got a lot of very nice shades. and they just apply so much nicer, and you can build them up and blend them in together a bit nicer. These ones are a bit, the orange was much brighter, whereas this one's slightly more gold, but that was just because that was the shades they had. The eyeliner sits better on the Jolie Beauty glitters, whereas this one it does clump a little bit more. But I actually think as a whole I do prefer this glitter, like just how it turned out for this look. Like it didn't actually crease at all, like it really went on well. It is just slightly less fine. The base, 1,000,000% prefer the P.Louise base, like no doubt at all. Honestly, P.Louise, yeah, that's the one. The Revolution one was slightly quite a lot too thin. The coverage wasn't quite good enough in my opinion. Lipstick, 100% Stilla. Stilla didn't even come off on my hand. It did not come off in the slightest, whereas this one did. But they both applied really nicely. They both feel nice on the skin. Both nice colours. They both dried matte, which is really nice for a liquid lipstick. That's what you want. They both applied really nicely. The Stilla one smells really nice as well, which is a bonus. But the Stilla one, I think, as a whole, I prefer probably. So yeah, that's it really, guys. The lashes are Sandy Glam Queen lashes. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know which side you prefer, what products you prefer, what you think of the products. The prices, obviously they're much cheaper on this side and much more expensive this side generally, especially the top brands more like Jolie Beauty and the Doll Beauty, Laura Gellar. I use a lot of Laura Gellar. It's quite expensive, so the alternatives are the cheaper ones, and they're nearly as good. They're just as good really, you know, like they are really good. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you in my next video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later, guys. Bye.